So I was casually scrolling through Twitter the other day and I saw the words defensive player of the year trending. And I'm thinking, like, what in the world is this? So I click on it, I look at it, and it's the NBA's ranking, current ranking for the defensive player of the year award. And on there was names that I would expect, like Rudy Gobert and Ben Simmons. But I look past LeBron, I look past Miles Turner, and I see none other than Jamal Murray. And what's crazy about this is that I decided, okay, maybe I haven't been watching the Nuggets closely enough because I don't remember him being a defensive standout. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking I never thought of him as a bad defender, but I never really thought of him as a really good defender either. And, to be number 5 on this list, I thought it was pretty interesting. Thought it was interesting to say the least. So, Trevor, what I want to do now is go through some of this like film that we've kind of compiled here, right? And kind of look at Jamal Murray's defense and kind of highlight it a little bit, I guess, for people who may have felt similarly. Because I looked at the comments and almost everybody was shocked. Nobody was in there talking about, oh, yeah, y'all didn't know, you know what I mean? Like Jamal Murray, like, you're surprised? Everybody kind of had the same reaction. Like when I told you about it, were you surprised?
Yeah, I actually was surprised. But I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
I never really thought of Jamal Murray as a bad defender. I've always thought of him as a pretty good defender. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy, people or teams hunt out, like, oh, we're going to get it to whoever he's guarding and then just go at him. Mm-hmm. Or if he is, guarding and, off the ball, if he's not guarding on ball, he's guarding somebody off the ball. He does a pretty good job, I think, of rotating and getting deflections and closing out, when he needs to. And again, it's not anything crazy or super elite, but I think he does a very good job. And I was surprised, but I am kind of glad that he is getting some, notoriety for the things he does.
So this is a link from the NBA's website, right? And this is their reasoning behind why they even have him on here in the first place. And apparently their reasoning is that his perimeter defense, apparently he closes out on 6.8 shots per game of 15 feet or more. And on those shots, he's dropping opponent's field goal percentage by around 10%. And, 8.9. I didn't read all the way. 8.9%, close enough. Let's just round it up to 10% on any given night. That's actually really good, because that's a lot of points that you could save your team. Yeah. So what I wanted to do today is just kind of like run through some film and kind of react to it a little bit of some defensive highlights, if you will, and a couple of lowlights, I guess, from Jamal. Not necessarily bad defense, but just some things that are questionable that make you kind of say, when you look at it.
Of that hybrid kind of closeout that you gave, he's still trying to go out there and contest the jump shot, but he's not selling out on contesting the jump shot and then giving up an easy line drive to the basket. So that's one thing that I noticed looking back at this film, that he does actually very good, running out to shooters and closing out and actually getting contest or being ready for a drive. So I think that's good.
Mm-hmm. And on this play right here, one of the things that stuck out to me was his balance, to stay on balance during this play, because he's taking pretty much a blatant push off. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Look at that left shoulder. He's taking a blatant push off.
And he's still getting back to get a pretty nice contest, for that kind of a shot. Yeah.
Yeah. And this one is honestly really good as well, because I see too many times in basketball, players have gotten taken out from bad closeouts. And what I like about that one was the fact that, again, this is Gary Trent. He did make the shot, but, a lot of times people kind of get up under your foot area because they are out of control. Yeah. I like how he still kept his hand up, looked to see where the ball was going to go, but kind of got off to the side. And I mean, that's the best defense, really. Like, I don't, and the crazy part about that play right there was the fact that he was
At the
all, yeah, he was
in the
helping,
paint.
who's this? Michael Porter Jr. right there.
Yeah, he had
Take,
about 1 foot in the paint.
yeah, he was taking away that right there. Waits for Michael to, Jokic to get back, everybody rotate. Yeah, so that's the best defense you could play. I can't ask anything more if I'm his
Yeah,
teammate.
just got to execute a little more.
Second effort,
Yeah,
still under control. And like I said, I'm digging the side contest. But anyway,
yeah.
enough of that.
There
Nice.
goes that closeout again. Yeah, he's very good at closing out, man.
Let's check out some disruption as far as active hands. And also, guys, one thing I didn't mention was that Jamal Murray is second in the NBA for starting guards that play over 25 minutes a game at decreased field goal percentage on the perimeter. So the only guy that's above him right now is Patrick Beverly. So good look. But Patrick actually hasn't gotten as much usage and hasn't played as many games as Jamal. So you can honestly say that Jamal is number one right now in that stat, which is cool. Now for deflections, he's really not even top 15, but I think that that's something else that kind of goes to our point as far as those stats not holding all that much weight. Jokic actually leads the team in deflections. And I feel like the team scheme is more so for guards like Jamal to not necessarily go for steals as much and kind of just keep their hands high, always up. But Jokic is really the guy that bats away most of the passes. So kind of force him to Jokic, and Jokic he actually plays up a lot on screens this year, but
deflection. Yeah.
he's very active. The whole team does a good job of just having high hands. And I think that that's what we'll see a lot of here is just hands constantly up, never by down by the side for the most part, at least by Jamal. So, and like right there, I feel like if Jamal's hands are not up and out, Zach makes that pass easier, and the roll man's not going to catch it as he doesn't have to bend down as far. But ultimately, as you can see, Jokic, he just ends up throwing it away, but everybody's hands are up there. So yeah. I think that's a good look.
Now that actually makes a difference, Chris, because especially in the NBA with a lot of skilled players that can make tight passes and tight windows, like that actually does make a difference because those players they can make a lot of passes. They're very skilled at that. So
doesn't show up on the stat sheet, people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's some good defense.
Yeah.
I think this one's just like an Giannis, honestly, just yeah. But hey, like I said, at the end of the day, somebody's got to go get it. But he gets a credit for that, but doesn't necessarily equate to him being an active.
Ooh, look at that move by Jokic, Chris. He missed it though. But
ooh, that's a good effort right there.
Yeah.
Down in transition to get all the way back.
There are a lot of people that can get deflections, but they don't really play defense that much. I think Allen Iverson is famous for, saying, I can get steals, I can get in passing lanes and, stuff like that. But, one-on-one defending or rotating or stuff like that, he wasn't really that great at, so.
Yeah, and I think that's really the main thing here is he's just falling in line with the team scheme and whatever that may be or whatever is asked of him. If the coach is asking him not to gamble as much and try and just stay solid, straight up, fight over screens, then that's just what he does. And I think that that's the best type of defender, one that coincides with what the team needs rather than the ultra aggressive, take it personal all the time guy, who can get lost and like mentally when it comes to playing it smart.
Yeah.
Good hands there. But now for the fun part of the video, what the stats don't show and why these stats sometimes are kind of a joke. So as we can see here, it's a transition play. This is Garrett Temple. And yeah, he's trying to essentially cut off, maybe prepare for a screen right here, but ends up getting beat completely. But Temple just blows the layup, and that counts as a play for. I mean, you can, like I said, depending on how they track it, it could be one for Jokic, it could be one for Jamal. But point is, it's not counting against them. But that was not good defense, just straight up. I mean, it just was a wide open layup for the most part. You just smoked it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's another thing. Bam set a great screen right here. And Jamal, that's actually one of the things that I wouldn't consider one of his strengths. I wouldn't say he's bad at this, but I'll say that he does get hit and caught on screens uh, pretty frequently. And I feel like that's a function of a couple of things. It could be his teammates not calling it out early enough. It could be sometimes he might have tunnel vision, or you just get hit with a good screen. And I mean, that like the pick and roll defense stats or the shot contest stats are not going to tell you screen quality. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just not going to be there. So, I mean, it was a good effort to get around it, though, despite because he got clobbered with that and there was almost no space.
Yeah, that was a good screen.
But check out this dribble handoff here. Now, here's what I'm talking about. Look at this. Look at this. So, here's why I say he has trouble getting through screens sometimes. So, a lot of times, depending on the reason, I don't know if it's the scheme, I find him not necessarily into the ball as much as a lot of other elite pick dodgers, which kind of results in him having to kind of like do this wide maneuvering technique. Whereas I know a lot of guys like Avery Bradley, they essentially get into the jersey of the other player and just kind of pop through them. They get real thin and just kind of pop through.
Yeah. It's a technique. Like a lot of people don't really pay attention to it, but it's really a technique. I feel like Gary Payton back when he played, he's a great person to look at for that. And I even think Kobe said, Gary Payton taught him how to get through screens. So that's it's an art to it. It's a lot of technique to it, and it actually takes a lot of skill to become great at getting through screens and not getting hit by a lot of them.
Yeah, he just probably, like I said, to get over this screen, he probably just wants to be into the jersey a little bit more right there, and he you can pop around him, but at the end of the day, I mean, that's just not everybody. Like I said, he's good at what he's good at, and that's something that he can definitely seek to improve personally if he wants to. But he's definitely not one of the elite pick dodgers. But that's just some stuff I noticed. Here, I mean, look at this right here. Like, what are you really gonna do? Like, this is actually pretty good effort to get over, but that at the end of the day, that's Devin Booker, mid-range specialist. So it's like that's another thing it doesn't take into account. Who are these people matched up with when they're counting these stats? How are they having an off night or a hot night? You know what I mean? Because I've seen James Harden. Everybody's seen James Harden have games where he goes like 3 for 17 from three, and they're shots that he takes all the time. And I would even say that a lot of times where he's missing these games, it's not always because of the defender. Sometimes you just miss jump shots. And that's what Jamal is even on this list in the first place for his defense against jumpers. So
yeah, I actually couldn't see that. It was kind of lagging on my end. So it kind of like skipped through. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But you see, he's into the jersey a little bit more
and
able to get over. But that's a great contest, honestly. Devin Booker just rose right up over him. And I mean, good defense, better offense.
All right, I got you.
This one is Bradley Beal. And this is very good defense, in my opinion, honestly. Like, I mean, two guys on him. Jamal forced him into the big. It's just that's Bradley Beal. So, I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? That is Bradley Beal. And it's the last one. So, again, this one. Oh, another transition. So, like I said, I'm pretty sure Jokic is guarding Sabonis here. So Jamal's kind of
Jokic, yeah.
Jamal is a little confused because he's deciding whether or not to leave Brogdon and Sabonis can pass the ball, and it just ends up in a layup.
Yeah, Jokic is. Yeah.
But that stat is going to go against Jamal
Jamal.
because he's the one
Yeah.
that got scored on.
And
And
that speaks to your point about the stats, not really picking up the fact that Jamal was he was really in a pickle here. I mean, it's either, you stop the drive and you got to depend on Jokic to get back to Brogdon if you do take Sabonis,
mhm.
and he's just stuck in the middle, kind of, you know.
But
So, and that also goes to the team defense thing, where
mhm.
if he does pick up Sabonis, he's relying on Jokic to get back into the play and take Brogdon if he does somehow stop Sabonis from getting into the paint. But
Yeah.
sometimes I think superstars get an edge because they are um, those scorers, and they also play defense. But there are sometimes defenders that are that's their role on their team that don't really get noticed a lot. So what do you think about that in terms of the defensive player of the year, and knowing that people that are defenders, quote unquote defenders, don't really always get considered for it, or it seems like you have to be an offensive player, providing some sort of offense and playing defense at the same time. But those people that are really good at defense and that's their role, sometimes they don't, they might get overlooked for defensive player of the year.
I think that it's a little bit of a little bit of narrative based because
Yeah,
like if you do look at it around the history of the league, a lot of the defensive players of the year have been starters most of the time.
hmm,
And on top of that, they've been pretty well-known guys. Like, LeBron and Marc Gasol were battling for it. Let's see, you can go with Hakeem, you can go with Mutombo, guys who are faces of their team in a way, oftentimes. Like,
yeah,
um, there because there's a lot of guys that play really good defense. And I feel like when I say the narrative goes into it, it's just the fact that we hear a lot of the same names tossed around every year.
yeah.
In the earlier 2000s, you hear Kawhi Leonard tossed around. So when you watch the Spurs, at least when I watched them, I was looking for Kawhi on the defensive end
Defensive end.
because it's
Yeah,
like my brain only can focus on so much at once. And naturally, I just wasn't necessarily looking at Kawhi's offense like that at the time because everyone just talked about his defense. And the same thing goes with this situation this year with Jamal. I just look at his Michael Jordan like finishes sometimes that he might have, when he gets hot during those games where he'll score 50 points or whatever. And I'm like, man, like I just think of like I associate it with offense. And then with Andrew Wiggins, I know a lot of people before this year associated him with laziness or complacency.
mhm.
But in all honesty, I think he's played some top tier defense this
Yeah, he
year
has.
himself.
He's been very good.
Yeah, straight up clamping people. So that's another thing. I wasn't paying attention to that because, like, when I was looking at the Warriors, I'm thinking like, how lazy is Andrew Wiggins going to look? Or when I was looking at the Nuggets, I was thinking, how bad is Jokic and Michael Porter Jr. going to defend today? And when I think of bad, I just mean like, how are they going to get exposed, targeted, stuff like that. I really wasn't paying attention to Jamal Murray because my attention was on Jokic and Michael Porter because I was like, oh, they lost Jeremy Grant, they lost Plumlee, they lost Craig, they're trash. It's just like my biases were kind of preventing me from seeing something that was literally right there in front of me because we watched a lot of Nuggets, especially earlier in the season, but I just
Yeah.
didn't see it, man. I was focused on like how bad they were going to be, like with that mindset that I just did not see it. So I think that this has taught me something that I can definitely learn to look at things a little bit more objectively in the
Hmm.
future.